Well, if you try and come last, I just went.
previously known. And we'll be underway very, very shortly. Like I said, I've just got to invite somebody because I've got it all wrong. So we'll invite Cyber Fox very quickly. We'll see if he can add me, hopefully. There we go. There we go. Got him an invite sorted. There we go. Brilliant stuff. Good stuff indeed. Right then, we're just waiting for the guys to get themselves out onto the track. So we're just waiting for them to get themselves sorted, as Dan Murphy decided not to take part in the qualifying format for this one, once again, as usual. But here we go then, we've got the tyres on, we've got the stream up, we've got Rabbit on the intermediate compound tyres, so I'm not sure if that's a good strategy call. But here we go then, we're underway now for the qualifying. Get the stream up as well so I can read everyone's comments and things like that. Good stuff. We've got everything just about all sorted, so welcome along to the stream, everybody, as well. VTOD is the first driver and the only driver so far out on track, so he's going to be taking us around in the Ferrari, of course. Very fitting as well. The Ferrari is the first on circuit for this famous circuit as well, the Imola, or the San Marino Grand Prix, technically, because it's well, it's ditched that name now, hasn't it? It's now the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, but that's quite difficult to spell. So if you've ever tried spelling it, you'll know what you know, the pain that I've gone through trying to name the stream. But we got there in the end. I would rather just call it Imola, but there we go. So I think we have to follow the footsteps of Sean, of course, who named the stream for the gold race yesterday. Of course, Sunday nights is gold, Monday nights is silver, and then of course on the Tuesday night we have got bronze as well. And then of course on the Wednesday night we've got the 100% League as well. They'll be taking us around Singapore rather than Imola. So yeah, we'll be underway very, very shortly, and yeah, just getting ourselves out on track. Got a few more drivers on track now as well. Rabbit has gone out on the intermediate compound tyres, so I'm not quite sure if he's got himself in a twist. But at least he's found his car keys, unlike Dan Murphy in the Aston Martin, who will be starting no higher than 8th for the moment. If everybody behind him does retire, then he would be starting 8th as well. But I think those drivers might want to set a lap time to get themselves up the order. Here comes VTOD then heading into the first chicane. He's managed to negotiate that very nicely. The curbs around here are very, very dangerous. I think it's the Tamburello chicane, that one. I'm not quite sure I can't remember what this one's called. But this coming up is Tozer. So I've just been notified that this and that, what's going on here. Let me just check my phone because I've got all sorts of notifications, and there we go. There we go. So yes, we're just yeah, like I said, VTOD, they're coming through Aqua Minerale now. He's got quite a few cars that are on their outlaps in the way, so hopefully they can recognise that he's flying through and just get out of the way of the Ferrari car number 75. Let's hopefully that he can negotiate these cars here. I think that McLaren there needs to get himself out of the way, and has done very nicely indeed, thankfully. So we're off the circuit goes VTOD there. I'm not quite sure if he was distracted by the McLaren there, but that is cost him a lot of time on this lap. Of course, I think he might have to come back in and abandon the lap now. No, he looks like he's going to carry on here. I'm not sure what he's doing here actually. VTOD, he's gone fastest, of course, but he's not a very competitive time there, unfortunately for him. But unfortunately, that is hampered VTOD's time. Tango has gone faster still there in the Mercedes, of course, a 16.0, much more competitive time from himself. So yeah, we're just waiting for one more driver to jump into the car. I'll tell you what I will do. I will invite KD, and it will be a fight, I think, to be fair, between the two of them. Good evening to Serious Mushrooms in the comment section. Good evening to you. Evening, Alex. Best of luck to Silver as well. Wishing all the Silver guys a good race as well. So looking forward to seeing what they can do. But yeah, we're waiting for Cyberfox to get himself into the Alpine car. yeah, like I said, Brabbit there he has set a time of 20.0 there, which is faster than Todd's time on those intermediate compound tyres. So that's quite a interesting one. That headset has been disconnected. Oh dear, that is not good at all. And I've forgotten to put on the lovely overlay as well. So there we go. Now we've got everything sorted. We can get back to the stream. But yeah, like I said, the qualifying format is well underway now. We've got 6 minutes has been ticked off the clock. We've got 12 minutes left now. We're just waiting for, of course, one more driver to join us. I think he's just about to join us as well. Yeah, if not, we'll get somebody else in. So we'll have to bear with us as Dopey Lemons there, of course, carrying on from his excellent first full-time appearance in the last round in Australia, has put himself on pole position as it stands at the moment. A 16.380 there for the Alpine driver, looking pretty good there indeed. And of course, Otmar is going to be very happy with him. Getting that, getting those points in second place actually in Australia last round, and of course the points that might come from the sprint, and then of course the feature race that will be coming up after the qualifying is finished. Serious mushroom there cheering on Fanjo and Irvine, looking to see the Haas drivers do well. Fanjo there in P3 as it stands at the moment, and Irvine not set a times on and out that right now. Like I said, I think we'll just we'll crack on, and we'll get KD in then, hopefully, because he'll be able to join for the remainder of this qualifying and then the race. Let me get the invite. I can't do it now. Don't mind. All right, good stuff. Let's have a look and see if anybody else is on track. Are they battling in anger, or are they just coming back to the pits? I think Equaz might be coming into the pits. Yeah, there he is, as is Fanjo coming through Aqua Minerale now as well. I think he's coming out, running out of fuel there. Let's have a look at his teammate then. We'll go back on board as VTOD has improved there to a 17.4, which is P10 as it stands at the moment. Let's have a look at Irvine then, as Irvine is just coming down towards the first of the Ravazzas, and he will be starting his flying lap very, very shortly. But there we go, we're underway, and we're just about to get ourselves started now with Irvine's lap. We're going through the first of the chicanes now into the second chicane, heading towards Tosa, and looking like he's negotiated sector 1 very nicely. Oh no, he's just gone over the curb there, unfortunately, and invalidated his lap time there. So unfortunately for Irvine, he's going to have to go around again, come back to the pits, and then refuel that car and get himself back underway. Let's have a look and see if anybody else is on a flying lap. I think Fanjo is potentially. Let's have a look at him. Nope, he's decided to abort this lap, it looks like. Right then, so I'm not quite sure what is going on. So yeah, just waiting for trying to get everyone to sort themselves out, but we'll get there eventually, don't you worry. In the meantime, we're going to have to just enjoy this lovely qualifying session as Fanjo. They're going all over the curbs there, and that is not good for the car. I don't think Cyberbox has left the session there. He decided to he's having some issues trying to join the session, I think. So he was in the session, it looked like, but he couldn't get himself into the car. But fingers crossed he can join himself back and get himself back into the car as well. Here comes Smithy then in the Williams. Let's see what he can do. He's gone for a bit of a spin there. Unfortunately, Smithy, Cyberfox is back in the session. You can see you can see the ghost car, but he's not ghosting himself. There we go. Then he needs to get himself back to the pits. But there we go then. So Smithy now coming back round to recover. Irvine, I think, has started. Oh, he's just gone for a spin there. We can just saw just heading down the hill towards the first Ravazzas. coming out of the chicane there. Unfortunately for Irvine, it's not going too well on his second attempt there, but he's managing to keep the car intact, thankfully, as here comes Smithy through Aqua Minerale as well. Now Ayrton, we'll have a look at Ayrton as well, reserving tonight in the Red Bull for Pot Stuff, who unfortunately has a family occasion. No, it's a work occasion, sorry for him. But yeah, unfortunately, Florin in the McLaren there, Dr. Truebox is reserving for him. Pot Stuff is not here either in the Red Bull, and we're just waiting for Cyberfox to get himself in the car to replace DMAC as well, because DMAC there unfortunately didn't turn up, and I think that's the second time in a row that he's not turned up, so he's at risk of losing his seat now, unfortunately for him. So that is not good news for DMAC, of course, but nonetheless we'll have to crack on without him. But here comes Ayrton now down the hill. He's come through the chicane as well. Down the hill he goes towards the Ravazza one, and this is where the DRS detection point is as well for the races, for the sprint event, and then for the race, because I can't call the sprint a race. Oh well, we'll have to hopefully we'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, Brabbit there goes fastest with a 16.1 there. A great time there from Mercedes. He's been almost caught by Nigel there. 10th of a second or so just behind is Nigel. There we go then. Nigel is getting us underway, and he's got himself up into P2, the championship challenger, I should say. Of course, he's currently just in the lead of the championship as well, ahead of Fanjo by 9 points there. Fanjo and Nigel both having difficult races actually in the previous round in Australia. Nigel there clawing his way back to get some points there for the AlphaTauri team and for himself as well. I think he finished in 6th with a fastest lap point. Of course, Fanjo there we saw retire at the very first lap of the event in Australia, in the race that was as well, because he was on the wrong tyre, and he started on the intermediate compound tyre when it was completely pouring it down. Everybody else was on the wet compound tyre. I just didn't have enough grip for him, unfortunately. So yeah, unfortunately for him, that was his race done and dusted at the very first lap, and his championship fight has not dwindled, of course, but it's been impacted negatively by that. And of course, Nigel there just tried to capitalise. Of course, any points that Nigel scored would have pulled him away, because they were both joint on points before the start of the Australian race, and now we're back underway for Imola, where the championship fight will once again resume. But it looks like Fanjo there struggling at the moment. It's struggling there at the moment, and then that is going to be playing into Nigel's hands as it stands in silver. That is where it is at the moment. But like I said, we've got a few people still trying to get themselves into the lobby as well, it looks like. Equaz there is in P3 there after a fantastic result there in Australia as well. Got himself up into P3, but he is currently 18 points behind the championship leader of Nigel there. 52 points for Nigel, 43 for Fanjo, and 34 for Equaz there. And then we've got even further back by 9 points, Farf there in P4 on 25 points in the AlphaTauri. So both the AlphaTauris doing a good job. Dobie Lemons there not doing a good job of keeping it on the track, although he's not been able to. The track is the car itself has kept in track limits somehow, but the game's not deemed it to be outside of track limits, so he's carrying on. And there we go. I mean, that was that really. Cassell there unhappy with something or other. He's done a good job so far as Cassell on his return. He's into P10 so far. 17.1 there from him. He's 1 second off pole as it stands at the moment, but I think that's the field spread is not too bad. Farf and Ayrton back on track, so is Smithy as well. Looks like Reflection is back on an outlap as well, and we'll see if Irvine is going to get going as well. Good stuff indeed. Right, I think Cyberfox is almost joining us. It's taken him about 15 minutes to get himself in here, but we've got here in the end. Let's get back to the stream, because I was neglecting all your comments, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Trying to get people into the session. But Fudge McMuffin, sorry, couldn't jump in. Hope everyone has a good race. Of course, supporting the Silver guys as well. Damn you, Fudge, says Serious Mushroom. That's not very nice, a Serious Mushroom there. Of course, maybe racing both of them tomorrow in bronze, of course. So stay tuned for bronze tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Come on, Cartboy, says Troy as well, supporting Cartboy. I think they might be, were they teammates before in gold? A long time ago that would have been. I can't remember if they were or not, but supporting Cartboy as well. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what is going on, because it seems like the reserve driver who's meant to be taking part is having a bit of trouble getting himself sorted, so might just have to take part from the start of the sprint race rather than join us in the qualifying. Good luck to Haas as well, says Liam, of course, racing for the Haas in the gold league, as here comes Kamara Racer up into P5 there. I think he's just starting another lap there, doing a good job so far. Ayrton's got himself up into P6 there in Red Bull. Good stuff from him as well. And good luck to Equaz as well, says Tinky Winky. I'm going to call you Tinky Winky, sorry about that. The Fangio there goes fastest with a 15.8 there, 3 tenths faster than Brabbit there, which is an epic time there from the Haas driver. Good stuff indeed. But for some reason, yeah, I'm not quite sure what is going on. But Cyberfox, who is meant to be reserving tonight in the Alpine in replace of DMAC, because of course DMAC didn't show up. Unfortunately, Cyberfox is having his own issues, but I'm going to have to leave that now and get back to the comment section of the stream. Kamara Racer there trying to get a bit of a tow there, it looked like, from the Haas, but I know from the what was that? What car is that? It looks yellow to me on the screen. Hopefully it's not a safety car. It's a McLaren. It's actually orange. But yeah, Dr. Truebox, I think it was Craig R maybe, coming down the hill. Here comes Kamara then through the first Ravazza into Ravazza 2 as well. Can he make sure he gets the exit right? He looks like he's very calm and clean on the exit there as well. Up to the line, what's it going to be? It's P3 so far, 16.183 there from the Ferrari driver. Good stuff indeed from him, and that puts him comfortably into P3. Tango unfortunately retiring from the race there, or from the qualifying I should say. VTOD as well. I think they're done and dusted in this qualifying session. George Morgan has said you. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly, but yeah, you two. Brabbit there has started another lap, I think, because he didn't have too much luck on the last one. Fanjo's retired in the pits as well, so that's him done and dusted in this qualifying event. Let's have a look and find out where we can see if it's going to be Dopey Lemons. I think crossing the line next, it's going to be him up to the line. It's a no, he's not improved. He's just started a lap. That's why. Let's have a look. I think Cartboy coming across the line. No, he's just starting a lap as well as his teammate. Smithy has decided to come into the pits. He's done and dusted. So that is him out of qualifying as well. Serious Mushroom said good evening as well to everybody in the comment section. Cyberfox has decided to get into his car, but unfortunately he's a bit too late to jump into the qualifying itself. He'd be too late to get out of the pits. Irvine there having a troubled time in this qualifying session. He's come out of the final chicane once again and had another spin there in the hash. That means he'll be starting no higher than P20. That will be him at the back of the grid with Cyberfox, who haven't set a time. Same for Dan Murphy as well. Dr. Truebox there couldn't improve on his time there. He's starting P17 at best. Smithy in P16, and then we've got Craig R in P15. So the bottom 6 are all sorted, unless Irvine can somehow magic his way through. Actually, if Irvine does set a time at any time, he'll be starting P18 at the worst. But I think pretty much that's it for qualifying so far. Nigel there has popped himself up into P2. He is less than a tenth away from Fanjo's time. That's pretty good stuff indeed from Nigel. Brabbit there in P3. Kamara back in the pits there in P4. Equaz is coming round now, the second Ravazza. Let's see what he can do. Oh no, he looked like he was shaping to go in the pits, but he decided to call it a day there. He decided to cross the line instead. He's P5. Dopey Lemons there in P6. Cartboy is the next driver or the only driver that can improve his time now, as Irvine does finish his lap time to get himself up into P18. Cartboy retiring there in the pit, so that is your qualifying session done and dusted. Cutting it close, Cyber says Serious Mushroom. He was sitting in the lobby for about 15 minutes, Serious Mushroom. Well, Cyberfox was actually, not Serious Mushroom, but in response to Serious Mushroom's comment, he was sitting in the lobby for about 15 minutes trying to figure out how to get into the car. But he managed it just in time to watch the end of quali anyway. But thankfully he'll be in for the sprint race, and then of course for the feature race as well to follow. But there we go then, Cassell there just parking himself back in the pits as well. And that is it, done and dusted. We'll have a look through. We'll run through the classification of the qualifying in just a few seconds' time. Once that Alfa Romeo has been wheeled away back into the pits. I heard a rumour that Vasseur was rumoured to be replacing Binotto at Ferrari as the team principal. So I'm not quite sure if that's true or if that's just still paper talk or whatever it's called. But yeah, we'll see if the Alfa Romeo boss is going to be heading over towards the Ferrari garage. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Out of qualifying, well, down the back of the order, because it's only a short qualifying session, of course. Cyberfox there and Dan Murphy not setting a time there in the Alpine and Aston Martin respectively. Irvine there in P18 did get a time on the board eventually, but not a competitive time, I don't think. Dr. Truepox there in P17, Smithy in P16, Craig R in the McLaren P15, Cassell in the Alfa Romeo P14. Then in 13th we've got V Todd in the Ferrari Reflection in P12, Tango just outside the top 10 in P11. Into the top 10 we've got Favre there, P10, Cartboy in P9, looking to improve on a bit of a disappointing start to the season so far in the first 3 races. Unfortunately for Cartboy, no points so far. Bradfield there in P8, Ayrton in P7 reserving tonight, looking good in the Red Bull. Dopey Lemons there P6, Equaz in P5 in the Aston Martin, Camaro in P4, then the top 3 Brabbitt in the Mercedes, Nigel there in the AlphaTauri, the championship leader as it stands at the moment, and then the challenger is Fanjo, who's got it on pole position for the sprint race. Well, I've done that too quickly now, I've got plenty of time. So now we've got to sit here for 20 seconds and soak up the atmosphere of Imola. So looking forward to getting this one underway. Of course, this is the sprint race that's going to be, or sprint event, sorry, coming up first, because technically I'm not allowed to call it a sprint race. I think I don't know what the term is or why, but they've said it in the real F1, so I'm going to have to copy it. But the sprint event is coming up next, not the sprint race, and then we'll have the feature race or the actual race afterwards as well. So stay tuned. There's going to be plenty of action. Of course, 11 laps is the sprint, so it's going to be quite a difficult one, I think, because of course you want to go for it, but at the same time you want to keep your car intact in one piece and keep that front wing in one piece as well. But we'll have to find out how the drivers are going to react to it, how they're going to be faring in this first sprint event of the season as well. GG to Fanjo, says Serious Mushroom there. Good luck to all as well. Yeah, looking forward to getting this one away. Fanjo there with an absolutely amazing qualifying time as well. Absolutely brilliant from him. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what all the drivers can do as well. Making sure they get to the finish line is the most important, of course. We've got rain in the pit lane. That is, it's not too wet. It's not as wet as Australia, I don't think, but it's definitely wet. So I think we might have the intermediate compound tyres on for this one. Which is going to make it more interesting in the sprint event, of course. And I think, like I said, of course, you don't expect them to make any pit stops in the sprint event, especially even if it was in the dry as well. You wouldn't be expecting any pit stops, but potentially if there's any difficulties getting off the line or any issues with the drivers coming through any of the chicanes really, then potentially we might see some wing changes coming into play as well. But nonetheless, we are underway for the formation lap. We'll have a look and see what tyres everybody is on. Everybody is on the intermediates there, as I said. So it is just about wet enough for the intermediates. So that'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds in the race, and of course this will change everyone's sort of mentality, their strategies to this sprint event as well. So 11 laps to go, and if it stays raining, that is, maybe it will dry up halfway through the sprint event. We'll find out if it dries up on lap 8 and everyone puts the soft compound tyres on to go for the last 3 laps. That'll be a very spectacular finish, no doubt. But we'll see how it all unfolds in this one. Like I said, the sprint is the first of our events tonight. We have got the sprint, and then we've got the feature race coming up as well. So 11 laps for the sprint event, and then 32 laps for the feature race. We'll have to find out as well if it's going to be raining in the feature. So hopefully, I'm sure the drivers don't want it to be. I'm sure they want every race, every event to be a bone dry, so that it's just easier for them to negotiate the track. But I think a lot of drivers' concentration will be tested in this sprint event now to make sure they can at least keep it on the grey stuff. Avoid the green stuff and avoid the water stuff as well, because I think at the moment it's going to be quite treacherous. But there we go. that is the order so far. Like I said, we run through the order already, but it's looking like out of the top two, they're still going to be fighting fighting each other, I should say, through this event, and then of course the race as well. But Fandro there is looking to regain some points back on Nigel after having a bit of a dismal Australian Grand Prix in round 3. So looking to bounce back with some extra points there on the AlphaTauri driver, who is currently leading the championship. Brabbit there doing a good job of getting himself up into P3 as well. He's not challenging just yet, but of course we will see some more good performances from Brabbit later on in this season, no doubt. Kamara Racer doing a good job there in P4, making up your front 2 rows. Let's have a look and see how this start of the race is going to go. Hopefully I can get a better camera angle than this, although I'm not quite sure if as Ayrton's been disqualified from the session, as has Bradfield there, I think, trying to get themselves into their box for the start of this sprint event. Everybody is lined up now on to the grid, and we'll be ready for the red lights. Let me see if I can get a better camera angle, please. The red lights are coming on. We have to stick with this. Red lights are on in Imola. The red lights are out, and the sprint is underway. Let's have a look at the start from Nigel's point of view. Ekwaz has got past Kamara Racer already, up into P3. He's got past Brabbit as well. What a start there from Ekwaz. He's already up into P3, getting ahead of both Brabbit and Kamara. Kamara's had a horrible time there on his start. He's dropped down 2 places already. Through the first chicane, everyone comes through nicely. I think Ayrton getting past Dopey Lemons there for P8. Oh, Ayrton's off the circuit. Ayrton's retired already. I'm not quite sure what happened there to Ayrton. He had a bit of a difficult time there. Cassell's dropped down 5 places. There's a yellow flag or full course caution, but it's just a VSC at the moment. I think the safety car might come out later on in this one. We'll find out. But apart from whatever happened there with Ayrton, I think it might have been Dopey Lemons, although it seemed like Ayrton was just dropping positions on his own. I think it was a great start, in my opinion. I'm sure Ayrton won't say that, but unfortunately Ayrton is out of the sprint event, but he can make his way back up in the feature race that's coming up in just a few moments' time, in 11 laps time or so after this one. But yeah, like I said, this has just neutralised the restart. Ayrton says Ginger Age in the comment section as well. He's not too happy that the Red Bull driver is out of this race. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Coming through the second chicane, I think he might have just got on the curb a bit too much, and that spun the car, it looked like. I don't think there was any contact, but I might be wrong. I'm not quite sure. But hopefully Ayrton will be all right to resume the feature race, as the yellow flag, the VSC, I think, is still out. Can we see on the dashboard here from anybody? No, we can't quite tell. Hopefully nobody gets any drive-throughs. You don't want to get a drive-through, especially in this type of event where it's just 11 laps, but nobody has done. Fandro getting away nicely. He's almost got a second gap there to the AlphaTauri of Nigel in P2. I don't like the rain, says there, and I think it was just it was unfortunately a bit of a driver error there, unfortunately, coming out this corner here, and that has cost the Red Bull his position in this race, his place in this race. Carboy having trouble there as well. He's down the order. What's happened to Carboy is off in the gravel, trying to get himself back on the track as well now, and that is going to cost him as well all the positions. He's back down to 19th there. Unfortunately for Carboy, started in P9. He's not had a good start to this race now. Well, he had a good start to this race. He was running in the top in the points positions just about. But he's now down the order. Tango and Bradfield battling away as they come out of Toza up the hill, and Tango's dropped down there to P9. I think it was Bradfield getting through into P8. He was in the last points paying position of the sprint event. Of course, there's only points awarded from P1 down to P8 in the sprint, and then the normal format is resumed for the feature race, where it is first down to 10th is the points for the feature race, but not in the sprint. I think just because there's less laps, although there's I don't know, maybe there's less points, less laps. I don't know, that's probably the way the FIA are thinking about it anyway. Reflection has lost a place there to the McLaren of Dr. Truepox. Dropping down the order now is Reflection into P14, the other Red Bull. The Red Bull's not having a good time so far in this race, but we'll find out how it will all change, I'm sure, in the next 8 laps or so. Fando is checked out in front. He's almost got a 1.5 second gap. Ekwaz is there putting the pressure on Nigel. Now it's Nigel who's losing places in this sprint race, potentially. rather than Fanjo. Looks like Fanjo is checking out in front. He has got himself done and dusted, and he's blasting himself as far away as he can from the rest of the pack at this stage of the race. Ayrton has just said, I'm rusty, yeah, was it? And then the wet weather is too much. So unfortunately for Ayrton, he'll have to, hopefully it's not raining in the feature race, he can bounce back in that one. Smithy's got past Irvine there for P16, back into his starting position there in the Williams as well. Started 16th, is 16th at the moment. Irvine has got himself through at the expense of Cassell and Carboy have had difficult starts in this sprint event, but nonetheless they are still going great guns. Tango there trying to get himself back up into the face, or into the diffuser I should say, of Bradfield there, cutting the Aqua Minerale corner. Equaz and Nigel battling away there through the final chicane, and side by side now down the hill towards the first Ravazzas. It's going to be close between the AlphaTauri. He's got the ERS to get himself back into P2, but that is going to still put him under pressure from Equaz now down the main straight. We'll have to see if there's going to be any moves here from the Aston Martin to make himself gain himself any places. Fandra there sets another fastest lap. They've lost a lot of time there from the battling. Look at that, almost 2.8, almost 3 seconds now between P1 and P2. Great stuff indeed from Fanjo. He's really checking out in the distance on this one. Nigel keeps on with his P2 there, just ahead of Equaz and Brabbit now, who's joined us as well in this battle, far into P5. Kamara Razor unfortunately dropping down 2 places. He's not had a good start to this one. We had the yellow flag there. I'm not quite sure who it was. I think it might have been Cartboy, who's still on the back of this queue. He's not far off as well. If there's more incidents, 4 drivers ahead of him, he's not too far off the grid, off the crocodile I should say, really. But it's not really a crocodile, is it? I suppose it's quite vicious, to be fair. All dry in the feature race, so that's good news. We've just had confirmation there from Ayrton as well, who is, like I said, didn't have too much luck in the off the start there in the wet conditions. Hopefully has more luck in the dry conditions for the feature, which will be coming up in 7 laps time. Now we've got through another lap, so there we go. Good stuff indeed. So the AlphaTauri is now in the power position in terms of getting the most points. They're in the top 5, both of them, and of course that will be maximising the points for the AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri conveniently lead every championship, gold, silver, bronze, and the 100%. And of course that means that they lead the joint constructors championship as well, as Dan Murphy rudely pointed out to me once or twice, that if they led every division, then surely they lead the joint constructors. Mathematically it makes sense, and I didn't realise, but there we go. So good stuff indeed. Let's have a look and see if anybody is going to be making any moves in the top 5. Not quite. Portugal is still 0-0 with Uruguay, so we don't want to watch that. We want to watch the ALR race, because the ALR race is more entertaining, as Cassell and Irvine battling away into the Tamburello chicane. And it is still Irvine. I think it's actually Irvine just ahead of the Alfa Romeo for now. Cartboy is using this to catch up as well. Good stuff indeed. Out in front is almost 3 seconds. There's a lot more. I think there's a lot more downforce on that Haas car for Fanjo as he comes through Aqua Minerale there and bounces over the curbs. So that's probably not proving my point. But I think he's a lot faster through the corners, and then you can see on the main straight, you can see that Nigel really claws some time back. So I think there's a lot more straight line speed for the AlphaTauri and a lot more cornering speed for the Haas. But we'll have to, we'll have to see how it all plays out in this one, whether it's going to benefit one of them or whether it benefit the other one. Really, at the moment, it's benefited Fanjo massively, but we'll see if that is going to play out in the rest of this race. But at the moment, everybody is just biding their time. I think there's still quite a few laps left in this one. Fanjo there sets the fastest lap of the race once again. 24.592. Of course, in these wet conditions, it is going to be a bit slower in terms of the lap time, rather than if it was in the dries, of course. But Equan's now dropping off Nigel. You can see the time has come back down slightly there to Fanjo between Nigel as well, but now coming through the chicanes, I think Fanjo once again will extend his lead. Equan's there dropping off the back of the AlphaTauri. There's a lot less ERS reserve for the Aston Martin now. I think he's tried to use quite a lot there to try and get himself up into P2. Unfortunately, not to any success as yet, but there's still plenty of time left. There's half the race to go still, so yeah, plenty of time left in this one to make some moves. But we'll see if anybody else down the order. Let's have a look at Dan Murphy and V Todd there. Really close indeed to Craig R in P10, just outside the points, these three guys here. So they're going to be looking to get himself past Craigar. As we've got a move here, Brabbit is off the circuit. He's off the circuit at Aqua Minerale. Farf has gone through up into P4 now. Brabbit there looking to regain his composure and get himself back after the AlphaTauri of Farf. Yeah, Brabbit there dropping down the order. He started in P3, he's now in P5. Bradfield there, unfortunately, Bradfield there doing a good job at the moment. He's got pressure now from Tango, but these two kind of in a battle on their own at the moment. Craigar has dropped off the back. Here comes Dan Murphy now down this inside. Can he make a move into the first Ravazza? He's too far back. He decided to bide his time. Late on the brakes there is Aston Martin. He's almost pushing the McLaren through the Ravazza here. Ravazza 2 now as they come round the final corner, and now DRS, or not DRS, because there's no DRS in the wet conditions, of course. ERS available for the Aston Martin. Can he get himself past the McLaren? But the straight line speed on the McLaren is pretty good, it looks like. Even with ERS usage, the Aston Martin can't get past into the first chicane, and no moves done there for either of them. Irvine and Smithy, though, there's moves here as into the first chicane. Here comes the Haas. He's up into P16. Good stuff indeed from Irvine. We did see a move somewhere else. I think it was Dopey Lemons and Kamara switching places as they're now coming through Tozer as well. But I think it was Dopey Lemons. They get himself up into P6. We've got yellow flag in sector 1. It's an Alfa Romeo of Cassell. Unfortunately, Cassell they're having a torrid time. They had a great start and then started dropping down the order after they got through the first chicane or so. So maybe got put off, I think, by Ayrton's mishap. But unfortunately for Cassell, it's not looking too good. It will be good, actually, potentially, for the feature race, because he can start right at the back, he can bide his time, and then he can work his way through as everybody else battles away. But like I said, we'll have to see how it all unfolds in the feature. And I think the rain has stopped here as well. The rain has stopped here, so I think we might see, will we see any dry tyres in the sprint event? We've got lap 8, lap 9, lap 10 and 11. That's 4 laps to go, or 3 laps at the end of this one. And there is no rain falling from the sky, so I'm not quite sure. Will we see a dry track in a lap or two? Will any drivers gamble onto the dry compound tyres, or will the track stay too damp to put any dry compound tyres on at all? We'll have to find out. Brabbit there has dropped off the back now massively of Farf. Unfortunately, Brabbit had a bit of an incident through the Aqua Minerale section on the last lap, and that has cost him a position there. He was in P4, and he dropped down now to P5. We've got Dopey Lemons there trying to get himself back up the order. He started in P6 now, looking to improve on his starting position in the Alpine, and he's now bringing that gap down to Brabbit quite quickly as well. So the Brabbit now will be under pressure from the guys behind rather than looking ahead and trying to see if he can attack. He'll be looking in his wing mirrors to see if he can defend. Elsewhere, Dan Murphy still stuck behind Craigar at the moment. V-Todd there as well. Dr. Drewbox has joined this battle, and I think Reflection will be joining the battle very soon as well. Here comes Irvine. He's all over the back now of Cyberfox, of course, who stepped in for the late DMAC, who didn't arrive, but hopefully he can sort himself out for the next race. Anyway, here comes Irvine now down the mini straight, I should say, towards the final chicane, as Dr. Drewbox and Reflection both pick up penalties. Both of them through the final chicane as well. Unfortunately for him, Fanders, it's the fastest lap of the race. Once again, it has started to dry out. So I'm not quite sure. We've got lap 9 now. I don't know whether it's worth the risk. It's a long pit lane, even though it's not a long actual pit stop. It's quite a long pit lane here as well. So maybe that will factor into some driver decisions, whether they come in or not. Cyberfox there doing a good job trying to defend from the Haas coming into his wing mirrors right now of Irvine. Can he make a move now down the straight? Irvine there going side by side. He's already through. He's got the move done. I think Cyberfox there just backing off slightly to let the Haas driver through. Very nicely done indeed. Tango has still not got past Bradfield just yet. Bradfield there hanging on to that final point of this sprint event. But like I said, I think maybe we'll be finishing on the intermediate compound tyres, but I think it might be quite close actually. I don't think that there's anybody worth risking putting the dry compound tyre on unless it suddenly dries out in the next few seconds. But it looks like it's still quite damp there on the circuit, so maybe not. Dry last lap, typical Cody, says Serious Mushroom in the comment section. Yeah, we'll find out. I think it might be. I think it might be very close actually at the end of this lap, to be honest. You can see a dry line starting to form, but it might be too late, I think. yeah, we'll have to wait and see if anybody does decide to take the gamble. But I think not at this stage. I think it's not worth it for the guys in the top 8 anyway. They decided to call it a day, as Nigel there sets the fastest lap of the race. Good stuff, and even remember 23.6, so it's still not quite dry times, or getting near to dry times there. It's still roughly around the intermediate type time. But here comes Farf now trying to bear down and get past Equaz. Equaz will be under pressure now from another AlphaTauri, and I think this might be Farf trying to get himself onto the podium for the sprint event here. He's really got great pace now in this final stages of this sprint event. Got himself past the drivers as well in the early stages of the start actually as well. Got himself past Camaro and Dopey Lemons as well, plus a few others to be honest, because he was starting in P10. And now he's got himself up into P4 and looking to get himself onto that podium if he can get past the Aston Martin, that is, as well. He's got one and a bit laps to do it now, as the track's still drying out quite nicely, but it's going to be too late, unfortunately, for the dry compound tyres now. I think that is it, done and dusted for the opportunity for the dry compound tyres anyway. There's not much point in pitting for them on the last lap of the race. I think you can get to the end of the lap on the intermediates. Tango and Bradfield switching places once again into the final chicane, side by side now down the hill. Tango's got that point, he's got that position, he's just got it now, and Bradfield losing out on the points now. Unfortunately, Fangio there sets the fastest lap of the race. Good stuff indeed from him, but Bradfield there had been driving in P8 for such a long time in this race, and had Tango only to pressure him really as well, and Tango's got himself up into P8 now as well. Oh, there's been a goal there. Cristiano Ronaldo has scored. Oh, blimey. That is good news for Portugal, as Farf now putting the pressure on Equaz. Here he comes. Can he make a move now into the second chicane? It's going to be side by side. It's close indeed. He won't quite make the move. That was not worth the attempt, or worth the risk, that was. And he thought very carefully about that before making the move. And of course, like I said, he's still on for some good points here nonetheless, and great points as well, both for the AlphaTauris as well. So like I said, there's not much point in risking it, to be honest, in my opinion anyway. So we'll have to wait and see if he does decide to throw it down the inside now at the next corner probably. But nonetheless, it's been a fantastic sprint event. Unfortunately for Ayrton, not too good. Unfortunately for Cassell and for Cartboy as well. They've both had their struggles, but they've done a good job of staying in this race, and credit to them as well. But yeah, we're going to have to look at this man now as well. He comes down to the first Ravazza. What a race he's had as well. Fangio led from pole position as well. He's got a 6-second gap now. Absolutely incredible stuff from Fangio. He's going great guns indeed. And he crosses the line to win the sprint event there and get the fastest lap of the race. A 22.922 there for the Haas driver. Good stuff indeed from him, as Nigel crosses the line in P2. Equaz there in P3. Farf in P4. Brabbit there in P5 as well. Good stuff indeed from Brabbit, getting some good points for himself and for his team. Dopey Lemons there in P6, stays in P6 as well after starting there as well on the grid. Camaro racer dropped down 3 places in the end. He didn't have a good time in this sprint event. I think maybe he's more set up for the feature race where it's going to be dry as well. Tango there finishing just behind in P8 in the end, and Bradfield just outside the points in P9. We'll run through the classification in just a jiffy for the full classification. But what a sprint event that was as well. Great stuff indeed from all the drivers as well. Clean driving from Farf, says Serious Mushroom. What is that? Dan Murphy apparently gets the driver of the day for that, but we don't have the driver of the day vote for the sprint event. Unfortunately, we have it for the feature race, which will be coming up after this one in just a jiffy. So there we go then. We can have a look through the results of the sprint event. We'll have a look through this way, as here we go then. We've got quite good stuff indeed from Fangio as well. Like I said, starting pole, finishing in pole as well. Nigel there in P2, started P2 as well. As Equaz there up 2 places I should say, sorry. Farf gained 6 places there. Brabbit unfortunately dropping down. Dopey Lemon starting finishing where he started. Camaro Racer down as well, unfortunately for him. Tango there gaining 3 places up into P8, getting that final point after Bradfield there had a battle with him all race pretty much in P9. Dan Murphy got himself up into P10, Craig R in P11, V Todd in P12, Irvine P13, Dr. Trupox in P14, Reflection in P15, Cyberfox, Smithy Almighty, Cartboy, Cassell all finished the sprint event. Unfortunately for Ayrton, he was the only retirement in the 11 laps around Imola. Blimey, that's good. Good stuff indeed. That was fun. But now we're on to the onto the hardcore part. this is the long part as well. So we're going to have 32 laps around the Imola circuit. We have just finished the sprint event, of course, 11 laps. Now it's going to be a bit more of a challenge for the drivers. And so 32 laps around this circuit as well. And now it looks like it's dried up around here. The sun is shining in the pit lane, at least. So hopefully it is not raining anywhere else on the circuit. But yeah, sun is shining in the pit lane. So hopefully we'll have a nice dry start to this race. At least the start will be dry anyway. So fingers crossed. We'll just wait for the drivers to get themselves sorted strategy-wise, get everything set up perfectly, and then we'll be underway for the start of the ALR Silver Season 5, Round 4, Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Good stuff indeed. Then we're all on the grid. Everybody is lined up in their order, of course, from the finishing order from the sprint event as well, that is. Let's have a look at the tyre compounds. We'll start from the back there as well. Ayrton there, of course, we saw him have a bit of a difficult time on the first lap of the sprint event. He was out of the sprint event on lap 1 as well. He's now starting in P20 on the medium compound tyres in the Red Bull there. Cassell there in P19 on the hard compound tyres for the Alfa Romeo. Like I said, having another difficult race, but a good job indeed from him as well to finish the sprint event at least and not give up. The same said for Cartboy, who's also on the hard compound tyres in the Williams in P18. Of course, had a difficult start in that event and carried on nonetheless. Good stuff from him. Smithy Almighty there in the other Williams, he had an alright sprint event, but he didn't move up any places really. He starts in P17 now on the medium compound tyres, as does Cyberfox in P16 in the Alpine. So he did gain 4 places in the end after that, after starting from the back of the race, back of the sprint event that was. A Reflection in P15. Dr. Trupox in P14, Irvine there in P13 in the Haas on the medium compound tyres. All these drivers are as well. Everybody up to P2 is on the medium compound tyres. So Vitol in P12, Craig R in P11, Dan Murphy in P10 as well. Bradfield and Tango, we saw them have a good battle there in P9 and P8 respectively, all on the medium compound tyres, as is Kamara Racer in P7, dropping back from P4 on the grid of the sprint event now. So he's got some places to make up. Dopey Lemons there in P6 on the mediums as well, as is Bravitt in P7. And then your second row is Favre in the AlphaTauri on the medium compound tyres, Equaz on the mediums as well in P3 for the Aston Martin, and then AlphaTauri as well on the front row. We've got Nigel in P2 on the medium compound tyres, and our pole sitter and our race winner for our event winner, I should say, for the sprint is Fandro there. He's starting on the hard compound tyres from pole position, so that is an interesting strategy call there. We'll have to see if that benefits him in the race. Right then, let's get cracking. We've got 32 laps around here, just waiting for the drivers to get themselves lined up on the grid. Ayrton has not done a good job of parking his car there, unfortunately for Ayrton, but nonetheless we'll crack on. So good stuff indeed. The 5 red lights are coming on here in Imola. The 5 red lights are on in Imola, and the 5 red lights are out in Imola. Away we go for the start of this race. Nigel there looking to get away quickly there to get himself past Fanjo, who of course is on the hard compound tyres, looking to go long in the first stint here. Let's see if they can get through safely. There's a bit of contact in the background and everything. There's a Mercedes going wide as well there of Tango. Tango's got himself up into P3. Good stuff indeed. We'll have a look at the position changes because that's what we want to see really. Tango got himself up 2 places as well there. Cyberfox and Bradfield there battling away into the second chicane. They've got themselves through. I think just about everybody's got through. Just need to keep themselves nice and calm now as Dr. Trupox there sending it down the inside of Vitod. He's gone round down the inside of Toza and he's made the move. I think he's got himself up into P11 there. Vitod dropping down to P12. Good start indeed, it looks like, from everybody on the grid so far. So looking forward to seeing how this race is going to unfold. It's quite close indeed between every driver on this starting grid. It's absolutely epic, this one. Ayrton's got himself up 4 places as well. So good stuff indeed from Irvine, from Dr. Trupox, from Cyberfox, from Ayrton, and from Dan Murphy and Tango, both 6 and 8 there respectively. So yeah, good start indeed from all the drivers. Nigel's got himself past Fanjo now, up into P1. As Equaz going to go around the outside here into the Ravazza one. He's got himself onto the curb. He's gone for the move. He's got the move done. He's up into P2. He's got the move on the Haas. And now Fanjo dropping down into P3. Here comes Favre. Favre is now side by side. Nigel's checking out. He's trying to check out in front. Can Favre get himself past Fanjo now into P3? He can. The AlphaTauri is now both on the podium places or in the podium places, I should say, at the expense of Fangio. But Fangio on the hard compound tyres doing a good job. This time he's got the strategy, I wouldn't say correct, because of course the majority of the drivers are on the medium compound tyre, but he's got the strategy much better than he did in Australia, and that is it. A good stuff. Indeed. Favre got 32 laps yet, says Ginger Rage in the comment section. That is true, very, very true indeed. Bradfield and Craig are switching places. Ayrton going around the outside, I think they're of the McLaren. I think there might have been a bit of a slow moving McLaren there, unfortunately for him. Ayrton there, he has slotted in behind there. He decided to bide his time and wait for his next opportunity there. As Reflection and Cartboy there waiting in the wings. So good stuff indeed from them. It looks like Equaz, Favre and Nigel trying to check out and get away from Fangio now, as of course they don't want to pull the Haas driver along now on the hard compound tyres, as that will mean that it benefits him later on in this race when he switches onto the mediums as well. But so far so good from the silver drivers. All Favre going a bit wide there on the exit of Ravazza 2, sorry, I should say. There's two of them. As Equaz there sets the fastest lap of the race. DRS has been enabled. We've got a yellow flag for Ayrton off the circuit. At the background there, he was doing so well was Ayrton. Unfortunately for him, he's now got to recover the car. Dan Murphy's got himself up into P7 ahead of Dopey Lemon there into the Tamburello chicane. They have gone, and he has got himself up into that position there. Irvine's off the circuit, as well as Dr. Truepox as well, I think it is. Behind me, they're all falling like stones now. Irvine's got himself back underway. I think there was a bit of contact there with the Alfa Romeo, I should say. But nonetheless, everyone has got themselves back through underway again. Dr. Truepox there we saw dropping down the order, but he's not got any wing damage. Yellow flag, a penalty for ignoring yellow flag for Cartboy. He's got a 5-second penalty there for an illegal overtake. I think it might have been. I'm not quite sure what he received that for. But nonetheless, we can have a look at that after the race. If he wants to report that, he can get that looked into at least. Potentially it will be removed, but we don't know. We'll have to find out. At the top anyway. Equaz and Nigel are checking out. They've got ahead of Favre by over a second. That means Favre's going to be in danger of DRS. Going to be all over the back of him from Fangio, from Brabbitt, from Tango, from everybody really behind him. So it's going to be quite close indeed for Favre, as they're going to be battling away, trying to get back into the DRS range. It looks like Equaz has got the DRS now on the AlphaTauri, the leader AlphaTauri of Nigel. Equaz is looking to get himself into the championship fight here, as into the pits from Cyberfox. Quite an early stop here from Cyberfox, unfortunately for the Alpine. I'm not quite sure if there's wing damage for him. It is wing damage, unfortunately for the Alpine. He's replacing that front wing. Bradfield and V Todd have dropped down the order as well. Not quite sure what's happened to them. Craig R has been passed by Ayrton and recovering as well after his issues, as Dr. Truepox has retired. Not sure what's happened to him here. He's off the circuit, and that has caused a safety car now. Unfortunately for the race leaders, that means that they're going to be bunched up once again. But yeah, we'll have to. There's quite an odd place there. I'm not quite sure if that is Cyberfox has gone past. He's come out of the pits now with Cyberfox, and that's good news for him as well. Actually, to be fair, having made that wing change, because I think that's Dr. Truepox driving himself off the circuit there, so that will have to be reviewed afterwards, because it might be a not necessary safety car there, unfortunately, and so that will have to be reviewed after the race as well. Yeah, look at that. There's quite a lot of dirt on that Alpine, isn't there? But Cyberfox now is in good hands, because he's managing to keep on the lead lap. He's going to be staying in this race. Equaz is going to the pits there. He's decided to call it a day on the medium compound tyres at the end of lap 4. So making the early choice to come into the box from P2. He's going to go onto the hard compound tyres here, as he's got himself back underway. Is there going to be any more pit activity? Looks like Camaro's in the pits. Cartboy's carrying on, though. He's got past Equaz, as has Irvine and Cassell. So both these drivers, or all these drivers who were right at the back a minute ago, now with this safety car and a few drivers pitting, they've got themselves up into the points paying position. So good stuff indeed. Equaz has dropped down to P15, as has Camaro into P16, Reflection in P17, V Todd in P18. As we've got a nice shot of the blue sky there. We saw that yesterday in gold as well. Not quite sure why the camera can't actually focus on what's happening in the pit lane, but nonetheless we'll have to crack on. Cyberfox, I think we'll get that P18 back from V Todd, as he's still trying to get his way out of the pits. But that is it, done and dusted for the pit stops, I think, unless any of the top. Let's have a look. Any of the top 14, I suppose you could say, want to pit again. to pit under the safety car, I should say. But they will lose a lot of places now because the safety car queue is getting very bunched up in the top echelons now of the grid. I think we've got everybody down to P15 already in the safety car Crocodile. Just waiting for the last few people to get themselves into the queue, and we'll be back underway for some green flag running once VTOD has caught us. Yeah, like I said, looking forward to getting this restarted because it's going to play into the hands of some, especially the drivers who are having difficult races as well. They're going to be holding up the drivers on fresher tyres as well, I think. So that might be a bit of a dip. That might be the reason why the likes of Nigel, likes of Fangio didn't want to pit, because they knew that they'd be dropping behind drivers that are going to be holding them up a bit more. Equaz and Kamara Racer are going to be having to battle their way through, and that can always lead to more issues than you want, really, can't it? So as I've tried in my past before. I'm never at fault of causing an incident, as Ginger Rage knows very well. It's everybody else's fault around me. So if you ever race with me, prepare to be blamed. But there we go. So we're on lap 6 now. Like I said, this will be halfway through the sprint event, but we're only we're not even a sixth of the way through now either. So yeah, we're just waiting for I think the Ferrari of VTOD to catch up to the queue. I think he has done now, which is good. Yeah, just waiting for the safety car to get himself back into the pits, and which should be at the end of this lap. So we'll be back underway hopefully for the beginning of lap 7. Just waiting for the drivers, safety car itself, and everyone to get round to the end of sector 2. Where the beginning of sector 3 that is, where the safety car will be called in and we can get back underway for green flag running once the safety car is back in the pits, of course, and once Nigel has regained, well, he's going to be the default safety car driver. Basically, he's going to become the safety car and have to decide when we restart the race. But so long as the safety car is in the pits, he can go whenever he wants, but he needs to now bide his time. There's a safety car coming over the hill after Aqua Minerale now into the final chicane. Now I think it will get the notification, and there we go, we have got the notification there, safety car in this lap. So now the drivers will slow down a bit, wait for the safety car to get himself sorted and get himself away into the pit lane, and we'll be back underway very, very shortly for some green flag running. Good stuff indeed. Right then, so like I said, Farf now is right behind his teammate in P2, so that is great news for the AlphaTauri team. It's currently a 1-2 for the AlphaTauri team, and could Farf become a bit of a rear gunner now for Nigel. Nigel is looking to get himself another win under his belt here in Imola, and now we'll be deciding when to take us away for the restart of this race. I think he's biding his time. He's going right to the line, it looks like, as he decided to get himself going now. He has got going now. I don't think that was a great restart, unfortunately, for Nigel. It might have cost him a bit of time there too. His teammate, two drivers behind him as well. Fangio's going to have to try and get those cars warmed up quickly. Here comes Ayrton now. Ayrton's got, there's contact there between Craig R and Smithy. And blimey, what has happened there? Off the circuit goes Smithy. Craig R has got himself, he's retired on track as Craig R. That is him, unfortunately, getting a penalty for Craig R. Ayrton and Kamara Racer. As what's happening here, Ayrton's just been brake checked there by Kamara Racer, and I'm not quite sure what is going on here. Yeah, this is going a bit crazy, this restart. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure what's happened in the back of the queue there. Craig R and Smithy both retired on the main straight, and now Ayrton's got a bit of front wing to replace. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what is going on here, as I'm not quite sure if Kamara had an illegal overtake there or something like that. But he's just decided to stop himself on track, and that will, of course, if there's no incident there, then that will be a penalty coming his way, unfortunately, for Kamara. So yeah, as Irvine's got himself past Cartboy, I should say, for P8. Those hard compact tyres, I think, will be taking a little while longer, of course, than the mediums to warm up. So of course they'll be a bit slower off the restart, as we've got themselves back going once again. And we're back underway. Like I said, this one, it's going to be a difficult race, especially for overtaking, and concentration is key. I think that might be the reason why we saw an issue there for Ayrton as well, and for Camaro. Well, that's that then, says Craig R. I don't think it was, unfortunately for you. Craig R had a bit of a difficult restart as well, as Dopey Lemons and Bradfield battling away. No, I think Craig R was able to continue there in that one, in my personal opinion. Yeah, we'll have to have a look at that after the race. Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to count as a pit and quitter there as well. which is a big shame. Brabbit has been overtaken by his teammate Tango there for P4, and now Tango now is going to be putting the pressure on Fanjo now. Can he get himself back through? Can he get himself back through, Tango, to get himself onto the podium places? That will be good stuff indeed from Tango as well. He's looking to get himself back in this race. But Tango's doing a good job there, getting himself up in the order, but always had a bit of a difficult time there going over the curbs at the final chicane. That is going to cost him a bit of time to the top 3. He's managing to keep that DRS, or keeping that DRS range for the time being. Of course, DRS is not activated until 2 laps after the safety car, as Ayrton has had to pit there for a new front wing, has gone onto the hard compound tyres as well. Potentially can get the hards to the end from here, we'll have to find out. DRS has been enabled now. Of course, they won't have it on this main straight because the DRS detection point is at the first Ravazza. So that is that done and dusted then. So he's now going to have to. They're going to have to bide their time, wait for the next time round, basically the end of this lap, and then they'll have DRS down the main straight. So there we go then. Unfortunately, we've lost both the McLarens and Smithy Almighty. Dr. Truepox there caused the safety car with an incident there coming out of the second chicane on his own, I think it was, it looked like. And then we've got Smithy and Craig R, who came together on the main straight on the restart there. So yeah, that was quite an odd one, that. And that will be, of course, reviewed after the race. Brabbit, they're going very wide at the exit of at the top of the hill. They're going down into Aqua Minerale now. He's got Dan Murphy for company now. Dan Murphy looking to trying to get himself up the order past the Mercedes, and that will be him up into P5 if he can get through. But of course, Brabbit there still within DRS range, just about of his teammate. He's just dropping out now of his teammate's DRS range, which is not good news for Brabbit. He needs to try and stay within that 1 second window because, of course, DRS is now activated. Dan Murphy's going to have the use of the DRS to try and get himself up into P5 here. Coming around the second Ravazza, he's right on the gearbox now of that Mercedes, and we're going to be putting the pressure on now. You can see the DRS is activated, the ERS is activated as well. Down the main straight, let's see if he can make any moves into turn 1. I think Brabbit there, he's doing a great job of trying to stay out of range there of the Aston Martin into the Tamburello chicane, and he's managing to keep hold of that P5 for now. Can he get himself back within DRS range as well with his teammate? That would be fantastic indeed for Brabbit, if he can do, because of course that would mean that he can use the DRS as a defensive tool to try and keep him in that in the top positions, that is. So yeah, good stuff indeed. Fanjo is now putting pressure on Farf. I think Farf has realised that Fanjo is quite quick, and Fanjo now trying to get himself past Farf back into P2. He's lost 2 seconds to the race leader of Nigel at this stage of the race, and that is not good news at all. So that is going to be putting the pressure on now. Farf is looking to try and keep the Haas behind him as much as as best as he can. But of course, this is going to be helping Nigel as well out in front at this stage of the race. But I think it won't be long before Fanjo has got himself back up into P2, and Farf dropping back down the order. I think Tango might be interested in getting himself on podium as well. Was Fanjo there? Oh dear! I was just saying Fanjo is going to be lining up an overtake there. He's lost position there to Tango with the exit there from the second Ravazza, and that is costing P3. Tango now is in the podium places. But unfortunately there for Fanjo, he just came out the final corner, put the power down a bit too much, and that is costing him. Equaz has got himself back up into P9. Of course, we saw Equaz pit under the safety car as well at the end of lap 4. Fanjo and Tango battling away as Brabbit dives down the inside of Farf and getting himself up into P4. Both these drivers battling away. Here comes Fanjo around the outside, is he? Let's have a look here into the Tozer, corner, as Brabbit has lost the position back to Farf. Farf has got himself down the inside, I think, there. The exit of Tozer up into P4, but Brabbit there joining this battle here. The battle for P2, as Tango now leads it, goes all the way down to P8 as well. So I think all these drivers trying to get themselves up the order in this one. Nearly dropped the beer, says Serious Russian there. I think it was good. It was a good fight there for all the drivers who were involved. Thankfully, keeping it clean. Let's have a look and see if they've lost a lot of time there to Nigel. Nigel is loving this now. The battling behind him is helping him check out in front. And let's see if Fanjo now can get himself out of the second Ravazza in a bit more of a clean style to line up a move. As Tango this time has had a bit of an issue. Tango coming in the pits, it looks like. So he's called it a day now on the medium compound tyres. Fanjo now up into P2. He's got the DRS now to defend from Farf, as Farf is now in P3, Brabbit in P4. Tango is the first of the drivers on the well, so the normal strategy, I would say, to pit. I would from his current tyres on the medium compound tyres, he's done 12 laps on them, and now going on to the hard compound tyres at this stage of the race. Ayrton doing a good job of keeping in this race. Good stuff indeed from Ayrton. You never know with the safety car, he might be able to be pulled back into the fray as Tango exits the pits there. He's going to be P16 now, trying to get himself back up the order. And like I said, there, Tango doing a good job there, getting onto the hard commentars, trying to get them warmed up this time is the problem, as Farf and Dopey Lemons both pick up a penalty there. I think the penalty situation, yeah, it's just 3 for Farf, 3 for Dopey Lemons, and 5. We saw 5 for Cartboy, of course, with the... I think something happened under the safety car, so I have to be looked at, of course, that one after the race. Potentially it could be removed, but it depends, of course, if he does pit and when he pits as well. If he pits under safety car, we can't really do anything about it. Cassell there picks up the next 3-second penalty. There is P11 there for Cassell at the moment on the hard compound tyres. Equise is looking to try and get into this fight as well for P or P2 really still. Farf has just dropped out of DRS range. I think he might just have it. No, he's just outside. So that is good news for Brabbit, who can now use the DRS to his advantage to try and get himself up to P3. Can he make any moves? As Dan Murphy's making moves there, he's up into P5 now, getting past Dopey Lemons. He's lost. Well, he's not lost it, but he's used up all of his ERS as the Aston Martin there. So we'll have little to defend now from the re-overtake if Dopey Lemons or even Irvine try and make any moves in the latter stages of this lap. Let's have a look then. Brabbit now trying to pressure Farf for that final podium place. He's dropped off the back now as Farf. Fangio is really bringing that gap down now. Look at that. I think the medium compound tyres might be dying out here, and that might mean we'll see a lot of pit stops from the top few guys who are on the medium compound for the at the time being. But I think we might see a few pit stops coming into play now. As you can see, Fangio has really gained a lot of time there. He was 3 seconds with the gap. He's now 2.2 behind Nigel as well. Maybe Nigel made a mistake, we'll find out. But it looks like he's doing all right at the moment. He's got a lot of VRS as well as Nigel, which is good news for him. He can use that later on in this race. Rightio. Good stuff. Let's have a look and see if Nigel's going to be coming in the pits. No, not quite. Farf, is he going to make a pit stop? He is coming in the pits there as well. Brabbit now up into P3. Of course, Tango was the first driver to make it a official pit stop, I should say, or a scheduled pit stop, I think it was. As a lot of the drivers have either had to make an unscheduled stop or stop behind the safety car on lap 4. So Dan could win this, says Serious Mushroom. He could actually. He's not far off. He's not got much ERS to play with. He's not got the DRS at the moment, but Irvine now is looking to try and keep himself in that DRS range. The top 5 or top 6 now spreading out a bit more with the pit stops from Farf, from Dopey Lemons and from Tango as well. So that is has helped some of the drivers who are under a bit of pressure, I think. We're on to lap 14 now. Fangio has brought that gap down to now under 2 seconds to the leader of Nigel. Nigel's just biding his time. He's used up. I thought he had quite a lot of ERS. He's now used up quite a lot of it to try and get himself further down the road ahead of the Haas who's coming at him now. Brabbit there in P3 doing a good job. He's hanging on to that P3 so far. Camaro Racing picked up a 3-second penalty, unfortunately for Camaro. That is not good news for the Ferrari driver. Currently in P12, so that is going to be interesting strategy there from Camaro. I think he might be able to get back into this race. Nigel from the lead of the race as he's running to the pit entry there. That might cost him a front wing change, to be honest. He's coming into the pits now from the lead of the race. He's going to be going on to, we can't see. He's going to be going on to something. He's onto the hard compound tyres, but we can't quite tell as Equaz and Irvine switching places into the first chicane as well. Nigel there dropping down the order. He's going to come out. Where is he coming out? Dan Murphy's made a pit stop as well, as has Cyberfox. Nigel is going to come out behind. He might be behind Cyberfox. No, he's going to be okay. He's going to be behind Tango, I should say. No, but he's not. Tango coming through the order. I think he'll be out ahead. So he is right behind Nigel now. Nigel needs to get those hard compound tyres warmed up quickly. The gap was 3.6 when he came out of the pits. It's going to be coming down quite quickly now. Of course, once Nigel gets those hard compound tyres warmed up, he'll be able to get himself back underway properly. But at the moment, it's going to be a warm-up phase on this outlap for Nigel there. He's lost almost 7/10, or he's lost almost a second now to Tango in this first part of this warm-up lap. So like I said, you can really see the difference between a cold tyre and a warmed-up tyre, that is. But now coming through the final chicane, here comes Cassell. Like I said, we'll see what he can do now as he comes up to the back of his teammate. Like I said, Bradfield not pitted yet, neither has Irvine or Brabbit from the medium compound tyres. We might see them in now. Everybody else who is still running in this race is on the hard compound tyres, as Brabbit does pit from P2. So he's calling it a day now on the mediums there. Irvine carries on. He's staying within the DRS range of Equaz. Cartboy up into P4 there. Good stuff indeed from Cartboy. No pit stop there from Bradfield either. Bradfield carrying on into P5 now, but he's got his teammate of Cassell right behind him. He's letting him through as well. Good team play there from the Alfa Romeo. And that means that Bradfield drops down into P6 now, and Reflection is back in the fight for more points. Brabbit, they're coming out of the pits. I think he's coming out of the pits. He's behind his teammate. It's going to be quite close between himself and Farf as well. Farf, they're coming out of the pits. Dopey Lemons is behind him, but Brabbit there on the warm-up phase. Why is it showing me the pit lane when I'm looking at Brabbit? There we go. Brabbit on the warm-up phase there, trying to get those tyres warmed up now as he comes into the second chicane, but will be able to try and get himself into the DRS range of Farf. It was very close between himself and Farf on the pit exit, but like we saw, these two were battling before they made their pit stops as well. It's going to be close on the exit anyway, and they've managed to keep themselves out of trouble. But the good thing for Farf is that he's got himself away from the DRS range of the Mercedes behind him, and is almost in the DRS range of the Mercedes in front of him. He's in a bit of a sandwich at the moment, but like I said, these two drivers, or these group of drivers, have made their pit stops now. Nigel Farf, sorry, trying to get himself into DRS range of Tango, and I think he might have done now. Irvine is in the pits from P3, I should say, on the medium compound tyres. He's getting off those medium boots, putting on a new set of boots as well. But Brabbit might be under a bit of pressure here actually from Dopey Lemons there, which would not be good news for the Mercedes driver. But he wants to get himself further up the order, not be attacking, not be defending from the drivers around him. Yellow flag in sector 1. Not quite sure who that is. It's Cassell, I think it is. It's Cassell having a difficult time there. He's off the circuit. He's getting himself back on the circuit, and he just needs to get himself back underway as well. He's still in the points paying positions. He's not too far ahead of, not too far behind, sorry, some of the other drivers who have got to stop as well. So he can still, as he goes through that corner too quickly, you can see that was going to happen, unfortunately, for Tango. Tango has lost position there to Farf. Farf got himself up into a net P2, I think. Yeah, unfortunately for Cassell there, he was having a difficult time getting those tyres going once again. He's done 16 laps on those hard compound tyres. He just needs to go slowly for the next few corners, making sure the tyre temperatures have been brought back down to around 95 degrees is optimum. And then he can get himself back underway at full speed. But now I don't think he has the confidence in the tyre anymore, unfortunately for him as well, which is not good news. As we saw drivers, we can see drivers doing about 15 laps or so on the medium compound tyres. It's not too late for Cassell to make a pit stop now onto the not too early, I should say, for Cassell to make a pit stop now onto the medium compound tyres here. And go to the end. Nigel there sets the fastest lap of the race. He is trying to get himself back in the order, back in the lead of this race as well, I should say. As looks like Bradfield they're carrying on still on the medium compound tyres. Reflection now up into P5. Good stuff indeed from him. VTOD as well in P6, going great guns as well. Of course, we can see there Kamara Racer, VTOD and Reflection all pitted under the safety car on lap 4. They've done 4 less laps than the top 4 drivers, who are on 17 lap old tyres, apart from Equaz, I should say. Equaz also pitted on the safety car, for like that. But will they have to make a pit stop again, or will they be able to get to the end on those hard compound tyres? Will remain to be seen. But it will be quite difficult, I think, and especially for Bradfield, who will have to pit as well off of those old mediums as well. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what the strategy is here for Bradfield. I think he's trying to get himself to the soft compound tyres potentially, but I think the pace loss at the end of the stints for both the mediums and then the softs as well will be too much for the Alfa Romeo to keep himself up in this type of position at P4 at the moment. Cartboy doing a good job there in P3 for now. He'll have to serve that 5-second penalty though when he does make an entrance to the pits, but that will be either looked at after the race and taken away, or at least sorted out after the race anyway. Reflection gets himself up into P4, getting ahead of Bradfield now in the Alfa Romeo. They're up into P4 now as the Red Bull. Good stuff from Reflection. Had a bit of a difficult start to the season so far. Got some points here and there, but looking for a big haul here in Imola. and looking good so far in P4. Like I said, Bradford there trying to get himself back in the order, but I think with those medium compound tyres at this stage of the race, they are done and dusted really. I think he's going to be looking back behind him rather than trying to attack. Or that being said, he's really trying to push that Red Bull still through towards Aqua Minerale they go. But I think this is where the grip will start to give out now on that Alfa Romeo. Unfortunately for Bradford, he's done a good job though to get these tyres as far as they've gone. Hell of a stint by Bradford as well, said Serious Mushroom. Yeah, it really is. He's done a fantastic job so far. 18 laps now on medium compound tyres. We saw the other drivers get to about 14 laps, maybe 15, and then have to call it a day. Fanjo's in the pits from the lead of the race. He's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Has Fanjo. Unfortunately for him, that is going to cost him as well later on, as Tango picks up a 3-second penalty there from P10. I'm not quite sure what that was for, but yeah, nonetheless, I think Fanjo there picking up a 5-second penalty, that's going to cost him, I think, the race win here. Equaz has carried on, of course, he did pit under the safety car. Nigel is going to come through as well. Carboy's in the pits from the from P3 there in the Williams. Let's have a look. Bradfield and V Todd are switching places as well. V Todd has got himself up the order. Oh, there's a bit of contact there between the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari once again. Ferrari's gone through. Kamara is looking to get himself through as well here into the second chicane. No, not quite. Vitor gets himself up into P4, no, P3 I should say, Reflection into P4, P2 I should say. Bradfield now into P4, of course, with Nigel, not with Nigel, with Fanjo and Tango. I think it was some other people pitted as well. Cartboy's got himself, he's come back out in P15, or just behind Cyberfox there as well on the medium compound tyres as well, looking to go quick in this final stint, and that could be quite good news indeed for Cartboy as well. Tango's got himself back past Farf for P8 now. Bradford and Kamara switching places as well. I think those medium compound tyres are done. They're going to be screaming right now, and you can see the pace even on older hards from the Ferrari drivers getting past them quite easily in unorthodox overtaking places as well. Jeepers Fanjo says Serious Mushroom. It was a bit of a strange one, that one. Unfortunate for Fanjo as well. I think he could have probably taken his time as well and got himself back to the pits just without the penalty, and just taking his time, because he would be on the faster compound tyre later on in this stint in this race. Of course, we can see now he's in P7 on the medium compound tyres. He's got 4 seconds to go to get to Nigel, who is potentially the leader of this race. We shall have to find out, because of course we don't know if the top 4 will actually have to make a pit stop again. I think they might do, but maybe they're holding out for another safety car. Bradford as well is definitely holding out for a safety car. Farf and Tango battling away into Tamburello chicane. Farf has gone for a spin there, and I think he was pushing too hard there. You could see there wasn't any contact from Tango on my screen anyway, it didn't look like, and he was pushing too hard there was Farf, and that's cost him. Cartboy's got himself past Cyberfox now for P14. Good stuff indeed from Cartboy as well. There we can see catching up to Farf as Cartboy picks up another penalty there. That's a 3-second penalty. That will not be removed, I don't think, as Farf has once again spun exactly the same as Cassell. Unfortunately for Cassell and Farf, they're both having the same fate, as they're both trying to go a bit too quickly on the overheated tyres, and that is costing them there. Ayrton doing a good job still in this race as well. Good stuff from Ayrton as well. He's plugging away, and like I said, all of it is good practice as well. So Ayrton will still be able to get himself back into tip-top condition to maybe take part in a few races in the future as well. Nigel is trying to get himself into the order. He's going to be almost within DRS range of Bradfield very soon. Bradford's still not pitting. He's done 21 laps now on these tyres. That is incredible. Fanjo in P7 sets the fastest lap of the race, lap 22. I'll write that down, remember that for later. But Fanjo there setting the fastest lap of the race so far on lap 22. P7 at the moment is 3 seconds now. He's brought the gap down by about a second to Nigel. Nigel's going to have a problem here, because he's going to have to try and get himself through this traffic. And that is, they're all battling away, all 4 of them, from P2 to P5, and that is going to mean that they're going to have to try and get themselves through. I think Bradford, they're just dropping out of DRS range now of the Ferraris. That is not good news. Smithy Marty has left the session. He's out of the session, out of the race, I should say, on the restart of the race on lap 6, I think it was, or lap 7, with a incident on the main straight, similar to Bottas and Russell with Craig R. Unfortunately, I'm not quite sure what happened there, but nonetheless. Bradders is going to go onto softs, says Bradfield there is going to go onto softs, says Serious Mushroom. That is the prediction. He's going to go onto softs now, though. He's lost the DRS now to the Ferrari drivers, and he's going to have Nigel there trying to breathe down his neck for that P5. This is helping Fangio as well get himself right into this battle. He's now 2.5 seconds behind Nigel, and that is great news indeed for Fangio. Of course, with that penalty, that will come back to bite him. Bradford is finally into the pit lane from P5. Let's see if he's going to go on the soft. It is the soft compound tyre, so Serious Mushroom called it right. He's got the strategy calls from the Alfa Romeo correct. Is he going to come out ahead of Cartboy? I think he might do just about. Cartboy heading down the main straight now. He might be just ahead of Cartboy here. I think it'll be very close indeed. No, he won't be, unfortunately for him. He's going to be out behind, but he's going to be ahead of Cyberfox, I believe. Those soft compound tyres will be quite easy to warm up as well, so they won't be so slow for the. They'll be slow for a couple of corners, but not so much once they get out of the out of Tozer, I would imagine, and then they'll be firing on all cylinders as well. Good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Brabbit has got himself up into P7 now. Can he get himself up the order? Can he get in range of Fangio's 5-second penalty there? That 5 seconds will be added on to Fangio's time at the end of the race. Unless he does pit again, he will have to serve it in the pits. But at the moment, he's just outside DRS range. Kamara Racer is now under pressure from Nigel. The championship leader is really trying to get himself through the order here. But can the hard compound tyres from Equans, Reflection, VTOD and Kamara get to the end of this race? We'll have to find out. It's going to be interesting to see if it's going to work. Low ERS for all the drivers here in this train, it looks like as well. The ERS is very low indeed. Here comes VTOD, they're trying to get a move on Reflection. He can't quite make it stick. Reflection, and Nigel and Kamara Racer, are they battling away? As here comes the championship leader. Can he get a move on Kamara Racer? He's had a difficult race as Kamara, but he's doing a good job so far. Dopey Lemons and Tango switching places as well. Tango now up into P8, which is good news for him. Sorry. I'm nearly dying there. Dopey Lemons and Dan Murphy all in this battle here with Tango. It's going to get interesting. Nigel's got past Kamara here at the top of the hill. He's already up into P4. And he's trying to put as many cars as he can between himself and Fangio, albeit with Fangio's penalty. Then we'll have to wait and see what the gap is going to be. But I think obviously with Fangio's penalty, that's sort of calmed Nigel down a bit. The bad thing is we don't know if these hard compound tyre runners who are pitted under the safety car on lap 4, are they going to go to the end of this race? That will be an incredible stint indeed on these hard compound tyres, but it could be possible. We'll have to find out in the next few laps or so. At the moment, Nigel, Reflection and Equaz has got he's almost an 8-second gap to Reflection as well. That will be a large gap for Nigel to try and catch. He's on 9-lap-old hard compound tyres, so he's on less than half the tyre wear of Equaz there. As they cross the start-finish line, VTOD has got himself past Reflection up into P2. Good stuff indeed. Nigel trying to go into turn 1, trying to get himself ahead, but he can't quite at the moment. Fangio's having to stick behind Kamara for the time being as well. Fangio's got past Kamara on the exit of the second chicane as well. So good stuff of the first chicane, I should say, really. And he's got himself through in due time. But now he's going to be after Nigel, and the DRS range. DRS is going to be activated for the Haas driver, and Nigel is the car in front of him. And what a great drive it is from Fangio. If he can get himself through and get himself 5 seconds clear, that will be a fantastic drive indeed from Fangio. But I don't see it happening at this stage of the race. We've still got 7 laps to go, of course. So there's plenty to unfold in this one. But Nigel is going to be trying to get past Reflection now. Bradford's got a penalty there. Unfortunately, Bradford pushing really hard on those soft compound tyres, trying to make that strategy work to his benefit, of course. Nigel now is under pressure from the Haas driver. Tango and Dopey Lemons once again switching places into the chicane they go, and that is the Mercedes ahead now. Let's go back to this battle here between the championship leaders Fangio and Nigel. Going to be very close indeed down the main straight. Let's have a look here. As Nigel there, we can have a look on board with Fangio here as well. Fangio, I think, just biding his time. He's not using his ERS at this stage of the race. Nigel there is trying to go through. We've got the yellow flag in sector 3. I'm not quite sure what's happened there or who's happened there. I think it might be Cartboy. Cartboy's having a problem there in sector 3. I think he's gone over the curbs there. Yeah, he's gone over the chicane there, and that's cost him a bit of a time there. Unfortunately, cost him a place to Cyberfox as well, which is a big shame there. Hopefully he can carry on. Dan Murphy's got himself past Dopey Lemons. Dopey Lemons is off the circuit, or Dopey Lemons has had a spin there somewhere. I think he's off the circuit, definitely. He's down into P11 now, unfortunately, for the Alpine driver. Had a good race in the sprint. but unfortunately not going so well at the moment in the feature race. But here comes Cartboy's got himself back up into P13 now. Let's have a look back in this one. Fangio all over the back of that AlphaTauri. He's on the diffuser, going through Aqua Minerale as well. What a sight that must have been. As they come through now into the final chicane here as well, pushing as hard as he can. Here is Fangio. He needs to try and get himself ahead and, of course, create that 5-second gap to have any chance of being on the podium even in this race. As it stands at the moment, the drivers who have pitted under safety car, Equaz, VTOL, Reflection and Camaro, are all going to the end of this race, it looks like. Unless they've got an error there, or an error with their tyres, I should say. That means a puncture, if you didn't know what I mean. Yeah, so like I said, if there's a puncture for any of the drivers, then that will really cost them. But at the moment, they're still going great guns, and they've got 5 laps to go, or 5.5 laps or so to go now. As of course, we've got 5 laps to go from the beginning of lap 28. But here comes Fangio now. He's all over the back of the AlphaTauri. He's putting the pressure on. This is costing Nigel time. He's actually losing time to Reflection. Can not Fangio make a move into Tozo? He's going to go down the inside here. He's on the brakes. He's got the move done. He's down the inside. He's got the move for P4. That could be the race lead in the net P1, that is. But Fangio there getting past his rival, his championship rival of Nigel, getting himself into P4 and now setting his sights on getting into the podium places. Great move there indeed, and well respected as well from Nigel. They both gave each other enough space and both enough time as well. So good stuff indeed from both Fangio and Nigel. So Fangio there on the faster compounded tyre is really pushing on now. He's got himself in the sights of Reflection, and he's going to try and get himself into P3 without batting an eyelid, it looks like as well. Fangio really going at a great pace right now. Nigel there just dropping off at the moment, but I think we'll be coming back in this race later on when we see the hard compound tyres of the drivers ahead of him start to fade. And of course we might see Fangio's tyres start to fade as well. We shall find out. Here comes Fangio once again. If he was just using a bit more of that ERS, he might be able to get himself past the Red Bull here, but no dice into the Tamburello chicane. He's having to stay in P4 for now. Nigel there staying with the party as well, so hopefully he can get himself through as well. We'll have to see if we can get Fangio and Nigel back on the podium places. But of course with that penalty for Fangio, as Tango's back in the pits, he's got a 5-second penalty there for speeding in the pit lane as well as Tango, unfortunately for the Mercedes driver. Is that a wing change? Fangio's got himself past. VTOD is dropping down the order. I'm not sure what happened to VTOD there. Fangio's got himself past Reflection. I was looking at Tango's pit stop. I'm not quite sure what happened to Tango there. Hopefully it wasn't a mandatory wing change there, or a compulsory wing change there, I'm afraid. As Fangio now is checked out, here comes Nigel. Nigel trying to get himself past Reflection as well to try and keep within the battle of Fangio, or keep within the range of Fangio, I should say. Fangio might have to use some of that ERS eventually. Reflection now and VTOD have been passed by the championship leaders. Now the top 3 is the top 3 in the standings, but it's not in the right order. So Equaz is in P3 in the standings, Fangio is in P2, so I suppose that's in the right order, and Nigel is in P1. So like I said, there's quite a lot of positions still to come. That gap that was almost 8 seconds to the lead between Fangio and Nigel is now 3 seconds. So Equaz is being caught massively by Fangio here. That penalty might cost Fangio the win here. Equaz might still be able to claim this. Nigel will have something to say about it as well, I think. As of course Fangio might be dropping off the podium if he can't get that out of the 5-second range, I should say, of Nigel, Reflection, VTOD and Camaro, etc. But blimey, this has been an absolutely epic race, and so it's been a really good stuff indeed. I wouldn't have expected that. I thought that the likes of Fangio and Nigel would be stuck behind Reflection and VTOD and Camaro a bit longer, and that would have cost them their opportunity to get themselves even on the podium places, especially for Fangio. I think the possibility is still there for Fangio, even with that 5-second penalty. We'll have to wait and see. He is really putting his foot down as much as he can. You can see Equaz in the foreground there. We haven't seen Equaz in a long time, but here he is. He's going to be under pressure very soon from the Haas driver right behind him now. So it's going to be very close indeed. So yeah, stay tuned for this one. It's going to be an epic finish. I think Fangio is going to try and get himself into P1 on track. Yeah, that is it. Equaz just needs to follow Fangio home, it says Serious Mushroom. Of course he does at the moment, but he doesn't know if that penalty is going to get removed. I don't think, or neither do I at the moment. I'll have to look into it after the race. He's not inside DRS range just yet, but he's going to be, I think, at the end of this lap, no doubt. Nigel's going to try to get through. Brabbit has got past Camaro Racer for P6. Good stuff indeed from Brabbit. Kamara is still in range of getting a good points haul here from the Ferrari team, I should say. He's in P7 as well, but with penalties. Let's have a look at the penalty situation as well. 6 seconds, that will cost him actually. He might cost him P7, it will cost him P8 and potentially into P9 as well. I think Dopey Lemons, everybody outside the top 10 has got penalties that will be added onto their race time. Kamara gone for a spin though. Is that a puncture for the Ferrari? We might have a puncture here for Kamara. I think the tyres might be just too worn out at this stage of the race. Unfortunately, that's not going to help the tyre wear. Unfortunately, at this stage of the race, he might be in P9 now. Equaz has lost the lead of the race. Fanjo has got himself up into P1. Tango sets the fastest lap of the race. That's an extra point for himself and for the Mercedes driver as well. For the Mercedes team, I should say. Equaz now has got to sit behind Fanjo, as Serious Mushroom has said in the comment section. He's just got to stay behind for the time being. Maybe make a move down the main straight with DRS. He's only got 2 laps to do it now as they cross the line to finish lap 30. There is 2 laps to go. Here comes Nigel as well. Nigel's going to be putting the pressure on this time as well. I thought Equaz might be able to bounce back, but here comes Nigel for P2. Nigel could win this race now on track. With the penalty situation for Fanjo, it might be close indeed. Here comes, Nigel Equaz can't make a move back to defend, and now we might be back into championship order very soon indeed. I'm not quite sure that hopefully Kamara can get himself back underway. He has got himself back underway as well, which is good news. He won't be losing any positions if he just stays on track for the time being. He'll be staying in P9 because of the penalty situation for the drivers behind him. For Dopey Lemons, he's got 6 seconds as well, so it won't be too bad. But here comes, like I said, that was here comes Nigel. He was coming through, whether Equaz wanted to let him through or not there, and that was an epic battle. But I don't think Equaz had much choice there. He couldn't battle on those tyres. Those tyres are gone. What a race! The Serious Mushroom. It has been an epic race indeed. Really enjoyable to commentate on as well, and hopefully enjoyable to watch as well. I've tried to get as much of the action as I can, but every time something happens somewhere else as well. So there we go. So V Todd, I think, might be under pressure as well from Brabbit, who is now on fresher hard compound tyres compared to the Ferrari driver as well. Kamara Racer, hopefully, if he can fight off Dopey Lemons. He's gone wide there at the exit of the top chicane. Let's have a look back at this battle here. We're going to have a look at Brabbit because I think the top 4, I should say, are all sorted pretty much. Brabbit has got himself up into P5 there. V Todd, I think, is just trying to get himself back to the finish line. We're on the last lap of the race. Here comes Dopey Lemons. Can he get himself up into P9 here? Kamara will be battling for this for the extra point here, I should say. He's still going to be within the points if he can get to the finish line. Nonetheless, if Kamara finishes in P10, he will still get that extra point, of course, for the Ferrari team and for himself. He needs to watch out now for Bradfield, though, because he needs to keep the penalties down at this stage of the race. Brabbit's got himself up into P5. Good stuff indeed from him. Here comes Fanjo, though. He's going to win it on track. He comes down into Aqua Minerale. He's going to win it on track, but I think the penalty, of course, for speeding in the pit lane, if I'm not wrong, the speeding in the pit lane penalty will be applied. That will, of course, lose him 5 seconds. Let's have a look at the gap to the leader. We'll have a look to the gap to the leader. It is very close between himself and Equaz. He might be able to get himself here into P2 at least. He might be able to keep himself in P2. We'll have a look here. Fandra coming down towards Ravazza 1. Can he keep the pace up towards the finish line? He needs to go straight to the finish line. No weaving, no celebrating. He needs to get himself across that finish line as quickly as he can. He's got a 5-second gap now to Equaz. He's got the position, but he's lost the lead of the race. Nigel wins in Imola. Fantastic race indeed from Nigel. Fandra there in P2. Equaz just about in P3. Reflection there, going to be finishing it in P4. And then Brabbit in P5, V Todd in P6, Dan Murphy coming across the line in P7. Good result there from Dan Murphy as well. Irvine in P8, Dopey Lemons there crosses the line in P9, Kamara there in P10, Bradfield there will come across the line in P11. But there's your top 10. What a fantastic race that was. That was amazing. And Fandra there, he was going to lose the lead of the race because of that penalty anyway, but he's managing to keep on to P2, and that is really good for his championship challenge as well, especially after winning the sprint race. He's going to be challenging Nigel still in the championship. Bradfield there does finish in P11, Cartboy in P12, Cyberfox there finishing in P13, Tango there in P14. Fastest lap was set by Tango as well. So that is good stuff indeed. We'll have a quick look at that as well. Bradford has left the session. Farfus going across the line in P15 and Cassell in P16. Good recovery, good and well done for Cassell for staying in the race, in both races actually as well in the event. The sprint event was aired across the line in P17. Unfortunately, Craig R. Smithy and Dr. Fruitbox were retired from this race at the end of very early on in the race as well. I think they were at the lap 6 where we had the three retirements. And no retirement since then either. So fantastic stuff indeed from all the drivers who've got to the finish line as well. Equaz, what a shot, what a stint, says Serious Mushroom as well. There is your podium drivers. They're celebrating. So we can just see Nigel there walking out onto the top step. As we can see there, of course, Equaz in third place and Fanjo there in second place. The top step is dominated by the AlphaTauri as well. Once again, it is Nigel there on the top step of the podium, celebrating his victory. Fantastic stuff indeed from him. Eric has said, "Congrats to Nigel, well done, son." So good stuff indeed, supporting his I think it's his son or his brother. I'm not quite sure what the relation is with Eric, but I said supporting the family member nonetheless. Good stuff indeed from everybody there. Hopefully we can get the interviews underway. We can see there the classification for the races as well. We'll have a quick look at the reclassification for the sprint. This is the sprint race, like I said, so the top 8 get the points in the sprint. There is your classification for the sprint race. Good stuff indeed. Results from the race here as well. We can see here Nigel gets the win there, the Fanjo in P2, Equaz in P3, and then Reflection getting a really good result there from P15 on the grid. I think my driver of the day candidate for sure in P4, Brabbit in P5, V Todd there in P6, Dan Murphy in P7, Irvine P8, Dopey Lemons in P9, and then Kamara Racer is your final points paying position in the feature race. Unfortunately, like I said, everybody else who's got their penalties there did finish the race, down to Craig R, Smithy and Dr. Fruitbox did not finish in the feature race. They all retired. Dr. Fruitbox at the beginning of lap 4 and Craig R and Smithy on the restart after the safety car at the beginning of lap 6, and that has cost them all their positions in this race, of course. But like I said, no retirements after that from lap 6 onwards. Everybody else got to the finish line. Good stuff indeed. There is the overall totals for the results of the sprint and the feature race here in Imola for silver tonight. So it's been an absolutely epic race indeed. So good stuff indeed from everybody who's taken part. Thank you very much for all the drivers who've put on a great show. Let's hopefully get some interviews. Let's have a look and see if we can get some interviews underway. But nobody's invited anybody here, so we'll have to try and add them ourselves. Let's have a look and see if we can just search for people and add people in. I'll add Nigel, because I know he won. And I'll add Fanjo. Fanjo, and who was third? I can't remember now. Equaz. Oh, I don't know if I have him. Oh, I do. There we go. Good stuff indeed. Right, I've hopefully got the party sorted. Yep, there we go. Right. Hopefully we'll be able to do an interview very shortly. Let me just get the headset sorted. Good stuff. Hopefully you can hear me. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Good stuff indeed.
Okay.
We'll start with Nigel there. You won it on track. How was that for you? Of course, firstly, how was your sprint race as well?
Yeah, that's going good today. The sprint race was, I think, good. I had no traction, had no pace. Venjo was much faster than me in the wets, so happy with the end result.
Well, it was a cracking race indeed. I saw Fanjo. We'll come to you, Fanjo. Of course, he sort of checked out in the sprint, didn't he? And then in the race, went for the opposite strategy. Were you quite happy with when you saw that Fanjo was starting on the hards in the feature race?
No. No, I didn't like it because I know the mediums were fast at the end, but the DRS trains help a lot for me. So at the end, it cost him the win, I think.
It worked out in the end. We saw a few drivers as well pitting under safety car. It was lap 4 the safety car came out, and they pit for the hard compound tyres and actually tried to go to the end. We'll come to Equaz, who was one of them. But it looked like when you got up to that pack, you got up to the likes of Camaro, VTOD, Reflection, who were all on the hard compound tyres from lap 4. And then you saw Fangio coming up behind you. Were you thinking? Obviously, we saw that Fangio picked up a penalty that will have to be looked at after the race. But we saw that Fangio had a penalty. But were you thinking, oh, that might be the race win? If Fangio gets that penalty removed, he might be able to get past me and through these guys quicker.
Yeah, I was just not pushing at all. I was just waiting it for the last couple of laps, and then at the end, yeah, he overtook me, so I had I had to chase them all because of the overtake.
Well, it was good stuff indeed. And like I was saying in the stream, we had I think it was about almost an 8-second gap to Equaz before you guys started sort of battling your way through the second down to third, or that second down to fourth sort of thing. So really good battling indeed. And then that gap just suddenly vanished, and we saw, well, obviously Fangio got ahead. Fangio, how was your? Well, we'll go back to the sprint race as well for yourself. You seemed pretty calm in the sprint race. I think everything was under control. You didn't have to worry about anybody behind really. You just checked out.
Yeah, I think the only kind of nervous bit was the start. Like I saw in qualifying, Nigel was much quicker than me in the straights, so I was just like, if I can get into turn 1 ahead, I know I can pull away with the more downforce in the wets. So that was kind of quite calm, and just hoping there wouldn't be a safety car or we didn't have to box for dry tires.
Yeah, it was all good. It did look like it was going to dry out at the end. Were you a bit worried about your lead being sort of eaten into if it was going to be switching on to dries?
Yeah, 100%. Every lap I was thinking, oh, should I pit, should I not if it comes dry? But I think when you're the leader in that situation, you always gotta just try and tough it out, and whatever happens, happens. But yeah, no, I was quite happy that it stayed pretty much intermediates.
Yeah, luckily you didn't need to worry about that in the end. So no, it was good stuff in the sprint, and then into the race you started on the hard compound tyres like we just touched on with Nigel. But you were doing a good job. It looked like, obviously, in the first sort of stint, you were doing a good job. I think you lost a couple of places here and there. You're just outside the podium places, but you're hanging on to the DRS from the top 3, really, who are all on medium compound tyres. And then, talk us through the sort of the next phase of the race, I suppose, where you had to sort of try and do the battling, really, try and get back through.
Yeah, so I started on the hard. I thought Nigel would as well. Normally he likes the alternate strap, but I was very nervous for a few laps. I didn't realize how much quicker the mediums were at the start, so I was happy just to stick in P4 and P3. I think someone made a mistake. I can't remember exactly who, but I got back up to P3, and then from there it was just like trying to stay as close to Nigel as possible. And I got my penalty going into the pits, but it said I think it's a glitch on the screen, but I'll check after the race and we'll see.
Well, we'll have to look into it, of course. Well, if that's the case, we'll have to deal with that.
Yeah,
but at the moment, on the classification, we'll have to put Nigel as the winner, unfortunately, for
exactly
for yourself anyway.
Yeah.
But so we'll look into it as well. But yeah, get your footage in for that, and we'll have a look. I think it's quite a difficult pit entry, I should say, really, on this one, because you can't really tell where the line is. I know that I've made a few mistakes on that one before myself, but nonetheless, it's still to finish P2, even with that 5-second penalty. I didn't see it coming. Like I was saying earlier, 8-second gap to Equaz with about sort of 6 laps or so to go, and still finishing in P2 with a 5-second penalty is no mean feat. So fantastic stuff from you as well. Equaz, I'll come to you next as well. How was that? Well, we didn't see you too much in the sprint. Like I said, I think you were sort of in the mid points for the sprint. But how was the feature race for you as well? I think you literally just put the hards on lap 4 and thought, let's go for the end.
Yeah, how's it going, Ozzy? So sprint race was good. I do like the rain, so I was looking forward to that. But the weather report did say that it was not going to happen until like 60 minutes. That's what it said on my screen anyway.
Okay.
But
typical Codemasters, that sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. But then the race, I thought I'd try a different strategy. I think I was pretty much the only one that jumped on the hards, but I think those people that pitted before me, before the safety car. But I thought I'd try a different strategy.
Yeah, I think it was just yourself, well, in the end, under the safety car, it was yourself, Reflection, and the both Ferraris as well. We went to the hard compound tyres, and I think Tango might have done as well actually. But yeah, there was only a handful, and then it really paid off. To be fair, in the end, well, it looked like you were going to get the win. And then what did you think when you just saw that gap coming down and you could see the championship contenders, Fanjo and Nigel, just bearing down? And what was your thoughts then?
Yeah, I was keeping up to date with I think it was Reflections who was behind me at that point. I was checking his tyre status and he said that he was pretty much on the same tyres as me. So I was just hoping that he was going to hold up Fanjo and Nigel. Not just him, I think there was like a 4 or 5 way battle going on there.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that they was going to hold him off as much as they could. Because my tyres were screaming towards, not even towards the end, even like about lap 20, there was on about 40%.
Yeah.
Well,
you've done. I think it was lap 4, lap 5. You put them on, so you've done about 27. I think I didn't see it in the end, but it's 26, 27 laps you've done on those hard compound tyres. So I think you better be paying some favours back to Pirelli there to get you to the end anyway. No, it's absolutely fantastic from the top 3, from all the drivers who finished the race as well. Like I said, only 3 retirements, and they were all lap 6 or before. So no retirement since from lap 6 onwards to the end of lap 32. So really fantastic racing from Silver once again. Been a pleasure to commentate on you guys as well, and really good stuff. All the podium runners, and of course we'll see you next week. We're in Miami next week. No sprint event, just a normal race. So we'll be back for Silver in 1 week's time. Of course, the bronze race for Imola will be on tomorrow night, so that will be 7:30 p.m. Tuesday night, and then on Wednesday we've got the 100% race again around Singapore, so that will be a very long one as well indeed, so I'm going to have to commentate on that one as well. But absolute pleasure to be commentating on Silver. It's been an absolutely great race indeed. Everybody who hasn't watched it, I don't know why you can hear me now, because you wouldn't have watched it, but definitely give it another watch. And yeah, absolutely cracking stuff indeed from the podium guys once again. So yeah, we'll see you in Miami next week. Of course, stay tuned for more bronze and 100% action on Tuesday and Wednesday this week, and then we'll be back for gold as well on Sunday. So stay tuned to ALR. We've got plenty more stuff coming up for you now. But yeah, for the time being, we'll see you tomorrow.